Hello and welcome to another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the show. In each episode, we take a look at a movie that is featured on Disney+. On this episode, we're taking a look at a 90s favorite as we take a look at Independence Day. And if you are enjoying these episodes, I do ask that you please hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified with each new episode. Now, sit back and enjoy this episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So like I said, today we're covering Independence Day. This movie was released on June 25th, 1996. It was directed by Roland Emmerich. The screenplay was by Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin. The production companies were 20th Century Fox, Centropolis Entertainment, and it was distributed by 20th Century Fox. The budget for this movie was $75 million, and it did a box office return of $817.4 million. But let's take a look at the production history. So the idea for the film came from Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin when they were on a promotional tour in Europe promoting Stargate. One of the reporters asked the questions of Emmerich if he believed in aliens. Emmerich responded that he did and asked to imagine what it would be like if you woke up one morning with spaceships surrounding the Earth. They would expand on this idea with a large-scale attack, and they would develop the script during a week-long vacation in Mexico. They would send the script to 20th Century Fox president Peter Sherman, who greenlit the project based on the idea after one day. Pre-production would begin in February of 1995, and they initially had a deal with the U.S. military to provide personal vehicles and costumes for the film, but the U.S. military would pull out after they had requested that the screenwriters scale back on the talk of Area 51, but the film company refused. The film would have a record number of 3,000 special effects shots, and they would use more on-set special effects than digital effects. Most of these special effects would occur in Hughes Aircraft in Culver City. This location would be used as the headquarters as well for the art department, the motion control photography, pyrotechnics team, and the model shop. A model of the White House was created for the iconic shot, the iconic explosion, and it would take a week to plan the explosion and require 40 explosive charges. The aliens would be designed by Patrick Topolopoulos and would be in biomechanical suits with 25 tentacles. It was purposely designed so that it would not appear to be a man in a suit. Initially, the film would be called ID4 because Warner Brothers owned the rights to the title Independence Day from a 1963 film. However, after Warner Brothers was shown the speech by Bill Pullman in the film, Warner Brothers allowed Fox to use the name Independence Day. So in terms of filming, principal photography would begin on July 28, 1995 in New York, with a second unit film establishing shots in Flagstaff, Arizona, and St. Augustine, New Mexico, and Washington, D.C. Other filming locations include Cliffside Park, New Jersey, Fontana, California, Utah, and Nevada. The score would be composed by David Arnold, and it would have a live orchestra of over 90 musicians and a choir of 46 people. So let's take a look at the cast. So we have Will Smith, who plays Captain Stephen Hiller, Bill Pullman, who plays President Thomas J. Whitmore, Jeff Goldblum, who plays David Levinson, Mary McDonald, who plays Marilyn Whitmore, Judd Hirsch, who plays Julius Levinson, Robert LaGoya, who plays General William Gray, Randy Quaid, who plays Russell Case, Margaret Collin, who plays Constance Spano, and Vivia A. Fox, who plays Jasmine Durabro. In terms of the plot, in the beginning of July, humans receive a strange signal that is turned into a global phenomenon. A massive spaceship headed towards Earth, and smaller spaceships begin to cover certain cities around the world. Suddenly, the world turns into horror as the spaceships start to destroy the cities with energy blasts. Then, when the world counterattacks, the alien ships are invincible to military weapons. The then President of the United States decides to head to Area 51 to formulate a plan to defeat the aliens. Now the fate of the world rests on a handful of surviving humans. So this movie had a interesting marketing campaign, especially for the 90s. During Super Bowl 30, a dramatic commercial aired and was one of the first movies to actually air a commercial during the Super Bowl. 20th Century Fox would team with Apple for a co-promotional campaign called Apple Inc. The deal was called the Power to Save the World campaign. This included footage of David using the PowerBook 5300 and would be released in a series of print and TV ads. Treadmasters would create a series of action figures and toys based on the movie, and promotional partners for the movies included Molson and Coca-Cola. The weekend before the movie was released, Fox Network would air a 30-minute TV special where the first third of it was a spoof about the upcoming alien attack. The movie would have a special airing as well at the White House for President Bill Clinton and his family. So in terms of the legacy of the movie, a television broadcast of the film was scheduled on September 16th, 2001, but due to recent events of the 9/11 terrorist attack, the movie was canceled for that TV airing. The film would have a re-release on September 22nd, 2016 at the Royal Albert Hall, along with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra giving a live performance of the score. The film would go on to win an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, and author Stefan Molstad would write a tie-in novel before the movie was released. This novel would actually be longer than the movie, and it would include greater details of the characters, as well as events and situations not covered in the film. This novel was so successful that a prequel novel would be released called Independence Day: Silent Zone in 1998. A Marvel comic based on the first two novels was also released to also great fanfare. And on August 4th, 1996, BBC Radio would broadcast a 1-hour play called Independence Day UK, which would depict the events of the film from the British perspective. A behind-the-scenes multimedia CD-ROM titled Independence Day was released for Microsoft Windows and Macintosh, and it would include storyboards, sketches, and movie clips. So it would give fans of the movie more insider information. And finally, a video game called Independence Day was released for the PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and the personal computer. So would I recommend this film? I think this is classic 90s movie. I think it's great because it has something for everyone. I think the story is a slow build, which I think is great. It's kind of builds its way up from the aliens and then kind of leads to a crescendo, and then there's several climaxes throughout the film. I like the characters, especially Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum. I think they're entirely relatable. I also like that it shows that the world is coming together, and it has different perspectives from different areas, mostly the U.S., but even different areas of the U.S. I like how there's different kind of demographics of people. I like as well how they show kind of how the president is able to do this, counter this attack that he's never had to deal with before. And I think this is a really great movie. I think if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth checking out. Again, it's an action movie, but there's a lot of drama to it too. So I think it has a little bit for everyone. So thank you so much for joining us here on another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. I would invite anyone to please leave a comment below on what they think of Independence Day. And as we look forward to our next episode, we're going back into the Disney Animation Library as we take a look at Frozen 2. So until next time, I hope you have a magical day, and we will see you real soon.